Please be advised that all video and audio recordings were completed before the COVID-19 pandemic.
Black Female Project.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Black Female Project Podcast. This is Che Abram, and in this season, we're diving into the world of health and wellness. In this episode, Leslie Stoval is in conversation with Kim Scott, a Bay Area nurse and advocate. I met Kim several years ago as the organizer and president of Bay Area Black Nurses. At that time, she had just begun the annual Flo Stroud Conference, which she'll talk about in this episode. And when I saw Kim, she had this beautiful short blonde hair and these beautiful white rimmed glasses. I love her glasses, and her whole body screamed confidence, sure of myself, and I'm here to support you. So I hope in this episode you get all of those things out of Kim Scott that I did. Enjoy. Hi, Kim.
Hello, Leslie. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Good.
So now, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the Bay Area, born in San Jose, started elementary school in Oakland at Parker.
At Parker?
Off of 73rd, yes. And then moved to Milpitas, and I ended up finishing high school in Corvallis, Oregon.
How did that happen? That's kind of
Right.
far from San Jose.
Right. Well, my father had moved up to Oregon in the 80s. And then I started, visiting him after my mom and him divorced. I started going for the summers and hated it. And then my mom actually you're going to go live with your dad in Oregon. And I was like, oh. But it actually ended up being the best thing ever.
Why?
Because when my mom and dad divorced, single mom. My mom worked at Nation's Hamburgers. My mom finished high school, but was working and struggling. So for so long, we were struggling. And so my dad had kind of reestablished himself where when I was there growing up, in my teenage years, I had my own room, got my car at 16. So it was just a better environment for me in these formidable years.
Sure.
So that's why I was. So it was like, I'm just going for a year. When I came back home, on Christmas break, I seen, my friends, we were sophomores in high school getting pregnant, just a lot of stuff going on. I was like, you know what? Oregon may not be a bad thing after all.
Right. Where did you go to nursing school?
I went to nursing school at USF, University of San Francisco.
And how long is nursing school?
So nursing school, if you go right out of high school, it could be 4 years. I decided, because I had to work full time right out of high school, when I came back to Oakland, I went to Meriden Laney to get my prereqs while I was working. And so I did about 3 years of the JC, got associates in health science. So it's basically getting your prereqs for nursing school.
Smart.
So it worked out. So altogether, it took me about 6.5 years because I transferred, but I thought it was really good because you need a certain level of maturity, I think, as a nurse, because
Sure.
you're your own leader and you have to be able to influence people. And I think being a little older, than traditional age right out of high school, and I knew I just wasn't ready to go to university right out of high school, it worked out. So it took me about 6.5 years to get my bachelor's. Then I went back to school.
So what attracted you to nursing?
I didn't really have anybody in my community or, in the family that was a nurse, but I love people. And I would say around 8th grade, I was like, I think I want to be a nurse. So my sophomore year, when I went to go live with my dad, I volunteered in the hospital. And I was like, I think I want to see what the ER is like. And, I just was really curious.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I think this is it. I think this is what I want to do. So then when I moved back home, I started volunteering at Kaiser Oakland in the ER. And so that really helped me.
Volunteering.
Yes.
That's an opportunity.
Recommended. Absolutely.
Tell the young ladies.
you know what, get your foot in the door, volunteer. You know, anytime you're applying for any type of program or, you know, school jobs, volunteering, they always want to see that you're a well-rounded person and that it's about charity and giving up your time. And at the same time, you can form relationships that will help you. You've heard it's not about what you know, it's who you know. Well, it's both, but it really helps to have those relationships built, because that's what helped me.
I think that's brilliant how you did it.
Yeah.
And how did you have that kind of insight? Because when I was a young kid, I was just out there. Hey, you know what I mean?
You know, Leslie, I don't know. I like I said, I kind of look at what was in my household, which was a lot of trauma, a lot of conflict. And
Maybe
I don't know, I think it was God. Yeah, I mean, God just had his hand on me and I had that internal drive. So I can't say it was one particular thing that I seen. I think it was an innate thing for me to just kind of take care of things. I'm the baby of I would say my original nuclear family consisted of 2 older sisters and a brother that was there all the time. But that was my nuclear family. Being the youngest girl, I'm still like the leader, you know, so.
You're very dynamic.
Thank you.
And confident.
I appreciate it.
And you seem very focused.
Thank you.
What is the MSN, MBA, RN?
Okay.
That's all you.
Yeah. So MSN is a Master's of Science in Nursing, and I have Nursing
Where'd you get
Administration.
that?
Holy Names.
Okay. Oh, everything in holy names.
Well, USF was undergrad, so I got
Right.
my bachelor's at USF, and then I got my master's, and so it was a dual program, a double master's program.
And how long does that take?
That was just 2 additional years, and I did that while working full time.
Wow, you
Yeah.
got a lot of energy. Do you run
I
track?
used to. Well, I do have it. Not track, softball, but I have my grandmother, Essie Bell Scott, who's passed on from the physical, you know, realm. It's in my blood to just be busy. So, you know, I always hear that you need to slow down. You need to slow down, Kim. You need to slow down, Kim.
Your response to that?
You know, and I'm like, I know. You know, now I know, you know, after the years of getting older, and I'm a single
Right.
mom, my daughter's 9, and I need to slow down, but in time.
Right.
In time. And now it's more about, what am I spending my time doing? You know, is it replenishing me or is it depleting me?
Right.
And so I think I could probably weed off or prune off some things, but overall, most of the things that I do are around help. I feel like I have the gift of helps, and that goes along with being the nurse. And
Right.
it may not be at the bedside, but now it's transformed into helping that struggling nursing student that is being harassed and picked on. And, you know, it's not just the schooling itself that's difficult, but it's all the other things that people are putting on them to make it even more difficult to get through. So, you know, really being a support to those coming behind you, because we need as many nurses of color as possible.
Do you notice something missing right now? That something is you. We would love to have you sponsor the podcast and share your work with our Black Female Project family. To learn more, email info@blackfemaleproject.org. Now, back to our episode.
So tell me about a nursing advocate. Explain that to me.
So I feel like I push the nursing profession in general. You know, I talk about all the different things you can do. I don't know of any other field that you could try out so many different areas. You know, physicians, they go to school for a really long time. And then if they specialize, that's what they do. Now, nursing, you could be a pediatric nurse and decide next year you want to go into ER. Or you decide you want to go into neurosurgery, or you want to work in the ICU, or you want to work in the community, or you want to be a labor and delivery nurse, or you want to be a nurse leader. You can do it. But in general, if you say you want to be a nurse, most people are like, I don't know, blood and this and that, you know. Or now men, I love to see male nurses, because it's like, it's a female dominated profession, but males in nursing, just, I think by nature, they're kind of pushed up to leadership roles, you know, and then you have ER, you know, you see more males in the ER. Nowadays, you'll see a male nurse in the NICU, the neonatal ICU.
And how do doctors treat the nurses?
I believe that the relationship between physicians and nurses has improved significantly.
It's not so much about hierarchy anymore.
Right. And I think it's individual. Some people are just like that. But in general, I've had really good relationships with physicians, and it becomes like a people thing.
Right.
Some people are just feel like they're above.
But don't you think the umbrella over hospitals, nurses, and doctors, insurance companies, and don't they kind of limit what kind of care? I mean, in Obamacare and everything, people say they're going to have death squads.
Oh, wow. And the death squads meaning ushering people sooner than they need to be? Or?
Yeah, just saying that you can't afford to have this kind of care, so...
Yeah. Well, the education really is about quality of care. I have seen people on ventilators for a really long time in the ICU, and their quality of life is not going to get any better than that. So really there is a worldwide, nationwide effort to educate people about end of life. So, that's getting your advance directive in place, talking to your family. So if I get to a point I can't speak for myself, I have you to talk for me on my behalf. And this is what I wish. This is what I want. Right. And you see that sometimes when families haven't had those discussions, you may have grandma, in the nursing home or somewhere and just wasting away. And you just kind of think about it as it is, that there may be someone who could use that bed, so in a hospital environment, the trajectory is not looking good for that particular person. And there's someone who has a better chance, that potentially could, be in that place.
So
but
what do you do?
It's really starting these conversations early and educating the community about speaking about what are your wishes. If you get to that point, what are your wishes? And you say, I don't want to be resuscitated. Well, when they call the ambulance out, they're not going to start pounding on your chest and trying to revive you if that's not what you want. But you first have to make your wishes be known. So having that courageous conversation or just being real, like this is what I want, or this is what I don't want. I do want to be on life support for however long. Maybe I'll wake up, but you hear, but now you hear more conversations about, the family decided to take, Brother Brown off of life support. And it's a hard decision. I know I don't ever want to be in that situation, but my mother's told me I don't want anything. So at that point I know. And same for me, like, I put my father to make those decisions for me. Like, here, Dad, you're gonna be my designated person to speak on my behalf because I know my mother wouldn't be able to do it. So it's knowing, putting the right person in the place to make those hard decisions.
Because we all have to make in the life decisions. That's just the way it is.
That's right. Think about it more and more, that I have a daughter, because it's like, okay, who's gonna, that's having like that whole estate planning, if something happens to me, all right, who's gonna take care of my child?
Take care of their money, but neglect that. So that's coming again. Community unity.
Common unity. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Explain.
It's the 3 I's of community, and then I break down community as common unity, because I think as a people, we are diverse and we have things that are different about us. But if you really think about it, we have more in common than we have that is different. And there's strength in us coming together. It's strength in things that we have in comedy. So it's common unity. We have strength in common unity. And we start to divide. And I see that, I can only speak for myself as an African-American woman. In our culture, I see a lot of division. I see competition. I see us withholding praise and gratitude for one another when it's really unnecessary. So if we start to think about what we have in common and how we can help each other out, we're going to only be stronger as a community. And you can apply that to any population of people. And so that's where I want to move.
Team.
Yeah, exactly.
You want everybody.
Pass the baton, pass that baton. And
you want the fastest people on there.
Yeah, that's right. And people to really think about that. I think more and more about being able to just give another sister a compliment. Or, you think about some of the things that we didn't necessarily learn it. Someone was like pushing it down our throat to say, don't speak to this person or compete against this person. But there's some things that's just innately in you. Like, what is that about? So as I mature and become more and more reflective, I'm like, why do I do this? And does it benefit someone else? And that's what I want. That's my platform right now, is about what do we have in common and being able to strengthen those around me. So as I get my individual self together, then people are drawn and attracted to you when you got something going on, right? So then who do you influence? People in your home, the people at work, the people in your community. It's the influence. And so as we grow and we continue to get better, then you have the ingenuity, the other eye, the ingenuity of community. So that's the innovation and the creation of community and whatever you want that to be. So that's what I'm about. And that's what I want to share with people. Just kind of question the things and the actions that we do. And do they benefit or don't they? And so it's all about benefiting those around you and influence them for the better.
I hope you have been enjoying the podcast so far and you've gotten so much out of it. I think the thing that stuck out to me at this point is common unity. I had never thought of breaking down the word community that way, and it definitely speaks volumes. So let's continue to listen as we learn more about how Kim has chosen to recognize, remember, and honor the women who came before her.
You're on the National Black Nurses Association. So how have you applied?
How have I applied that?
Yeah.
So I have applied that as the Bay Area Black Nurses, the local chapter of the National Black Nurses Association. So I've been involved as a president, membership chair, and in this role, we do screenings in the community. We educate the community and serve the community, especially African Americans who are disproportionately affected by cancer, HIV and AIDS, homicide. Well, I think there's ignorance and prejudice. I think there's lack of knowledge in regards to our culture. There's a mistrust of healthcare in general. You could think of Tuskegee and other incidents that have happened, which cause people to fear going to seek help. But they were being harmed, and they used people that looked like them to do harm.
They didn't have advocates.
Exactly. As an organization, it's about retention and recruiting African American individuals into the profession of nursing. So we want to, we educate the community, we educate nursing students, we have scholarships, we have initiatives. Some of our initiatives.
So if I'm a young lady, I want to get into nursing, you say have scholarships. How do I do that? How do I get a scholarship to Yellow? Let me know.
So to be a official member as a student, you have to be actually accepted into a nursing program. So actually enrolled in a nursing program. So there are students who are going to school, going to a university, and they may be pre-nursing, they're getting their prereqs. So like when I was going to Merritt and Laney, I wasn't actually in the nursing program. I was working my way. So to be like a voting member, you need to be in a nursing program. You just go to our website. It's BABNA.org. So that's Bay Area Black Nurses.org. And then our national website is NBNA.org. We have many initiatives that we're working on, the high maternal mortality rate among African American women who are dying disproportionately through the birthing process.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
Stat.
So, and you may have heard about like Serena and some very affluent African American women, that have been in this position. And so, sometimes it's the very poor, where we're seeing very affluent women are also dying.
So what's the genesis?
And so I think the genesis of it is people not listening to the patient, saying, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I don't, just listening to those in risk. We call it like situational awareness, like being in this situation. What do we need to be aware of? What are the things we need to listen to? In the operating room, you have language and you have a stop the line if something isn't right. A culture of speaking up, like we need to change course because something's going on. So I think it's not listening to the patient and what that patient needs, thinking as professionals they know more than the patient, and they don't. The patient, so that's where the advocates come in, is that you need someone sometimes to speak on your behalf when you can't or other people aren't hearing you.
Yeah.
So examples of that, time and time again, my daughter's uncle, he's African American, and his significant other is white. And so she kept asking questions when they wanted to discharge him from the hospital. Like, this isn't right. He was saying himself, but they weren't hearing him. She's like, I think you should check this out. Well, the man was having a hemorrhagic stroke in the ER, so think if they would have discharged him, he may not be here today. So you find that sometimes they're not listening, and we need those advocates. You'll hear more and more about in healthcare where we need patient advocates. We need people to speak on behalf of members so they can get what they need and they deserve.
Bottom line.
And that's why we need, more people that are representative of the population that we're serving that look like one another. And I'm not saying that you have to, be Black to take care of a Black patient, but having experiences help. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Well, you're very passionate about what you do. And I think I speak for a lot of people. We're very fortunate that you're in the nursing profession. Because you are making a difference, and you're going to make more of a difference. Yeah. Before I let you go,
yes,
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What Black females would you put on your Black female Mount Rushmore?
My Black female Mount Rushmore. I would put my grandmother,
okay,
Essie Scott. I would put Michelle Obama. I would put my cousin Trilly Barnes. I would put Mary C. Cole. Mary C. Cole, you hear about Florence Nightingale, yes, nursing, right?
Yes.
So Mary C. Cole, I learned about her when I was in grad school, that she was there at the Crimean War with Florence Nightingale, saying, I want to help in some way. Now, she was Scottish and I believe Jamaican, so she was a woman of color. And Florence Nightingale was like, we don't really, need your help. And I hear different variations of the story, but basically her history was wiped out. And when I learned about her, I was like, wow, I never heard of her. People who've mentored me have never heard of Mary C. Cole, but just to know that someone who looked like me was around during this like formation of nursing. And Florence Nightingale was all about like statistics and research and all of, yeah, she was very scientific, and that's nursing too. It's evidence-based, but never heard of her. So she was a businesswoman. She was like a herbalist, and she rented out like a hostel and helped thousands of soldiers during that time. So she may have not been a nurse, but she was there in a nursing capacity and wanting to help. And when I learned about her, I was like, wow, I want to tell people about Mary C. Cole. So there's a conference that I do every year. It's the Black History Month Nursing Conference Series. It's Florence Stroud. So Florence Stroud was a co-founder of the Bay Area Black Nurses Association. And so one of my mentors, she said, we should do this conference in Florence Stroud's name. And she did it for the first 2 years, and I've done it for the last 6 years to carry that on. And so in my program book, I have a little, contribute to Mary C. Cole, because I think it's so important for us to see people who look like us, who have been there from the beginning.
Say their possibilities.
Yes, the possibilities.
You don't have to accept the narrative.
Right.
Wow, that's wonderful. I just learned about it. Thank you.
Yes,
so
no
much
problem.
For that. And thank you for your healing and your expertise and your caring.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Black Female Project.
We invite you to learn more about the women in this episode, Black Female Project, and ways to support the project by going to www.blackfemaleproject.org.